Hey now! What is up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka ReviewKingMB, and we are at the end, finally at the end of my 31 days of horror movie reviews. 31 movies. The last film I decided to talk about and review is Trick or Treat! Trick or Treat is a 2007 film that's an anthology film. It's directed by Michael Dougherty, and the plot, you see like 4 different stories with different characters all happening on the same night, Halloween night, and there's a certain through line. You see a character named Sam who at first glance looks like a kid in costume trick-or-treating, and you think nothing of it, although you start to notice him pop up in all these stories, and eventually you realize that he's not a kid, he's something else entirely. He is something that almost wants to make sure that the rules of Halloween are being followed, and if they're not being followed, he'll get involved in the worst ways possible. I love this movie. I do. I think it's severely underrated. Hopefully enough people have seen it by now to know just how good it is to enjoy what it gets right on Halloween night. There's not a lot of Halloween themed movies. I know the Michael Myers films. I know there are scary movies that take place in Halloween, but I'm talking about that really delves into what Halloween is all about, what it consists of, the rules, like I said, things that should be done on Halloween, the traditions and lores. I like what this movie does. I like what this movie accomplishes, the tone and the atmosphere that goes on with each and every story. Let's talk about some of the actors and the characters. Dylan Baker. He has a plot where he is a neighbor. He you know, looks like a normal guy, and you know, but when you find out what he's doing, he is killing kids in the neighborhood in some gruesome and messed up ways. You should hate him. You should look at this guy and say he's horrible, he's unredeemable, but the actor is so good. And they do a good job of using some dark, twisted humor with it to where it's sort of funny to see him try to bury a body or to see him try to lay low even when his son is there and you don't exactly know the son's involvement in all of this. That's a story that takes twists and turns, especially. I also like, though, how these stories, like, you follow certain actors and certain characters in their plots, and then when we go to the next story, somebody might show up. A character we've already met might show up or be in the background, and you see how each scene is actually maybe the same scene, but from these characters' points of view. For example, Anna Paquin plays this girl who, she's just like Little Red Riding Hood. She's with her friend. She's supposed to go to this Halloween event, and they're talking about this being special for her first time. She's never done it before, and so you naturally think, oh, she's a virgin. But when you see what they're actually talking about, it's this story might be the one that's played up the best as far as a twist goes, so I don't want to give it too much away, but there are some great practical effects throughout this whole movie. The gore and the practical effects, it's all very impressive. It's all something that I kind of get giddy over when I think about horror films. And let's talk about the group of kids, though, who they hear the story about these mentally challenged kids who were on the school bus and were killed by the driver. First of all, that flashback is very dark and grim. And I love, though, how it plays into what these kids do and how they go down to where the bus is supposed to be, and then the creatures that come out of that. Again, another spooky part where kids are being killed. This movie will not hold back when it comes to that. You get a through line story with Leslie Bibb, who that mostly follows, like, are you doing the traditions? Are you doing what you're supposed to do on Halloween? It's almost like I never realized until I saw this movie what you're supposed to do on Halloween, and now I gotta admit, I make sure they get done. Last but not least, I want to talk about Brian Cox, who he's the neighbor of Dylan Baker, and I love how he's revealed as this character and how Sam specifically goes after him. That just this whole sequence of Brian Cox fighting off Sam and how creepy it is, and how, yeah, sure, it has its goofy moments and whatnot, but this is where you tell me what Sam is. This is where you show me what he is and what he can do, and I just think it's a great dynamic. I think Sam instantly became a horror favorite after this movie. I wish they made a sequel. I don't know what's taking so damn long to make a sequel, but obviously I really enjoyed. I recommend for Halloween for you to watch Trick or Treat. Let me know in the comments below if you've already seen this film. What do you think of it? Do you like it as much as I do? Like, comment, subscribe. Later!
Swimming in beers, I've been through it all, let me trickle a tear. In case you didn't know, I was living sarcastic. A motherfucking monster, something Jurassic. Had to wrap the whole entire bed in plastic. Slumped bitch gets when she fucking with raptors. Killing and a thrilling and I'm sipping on the 4-0. Listen by a whole entire motherfucking torso. Oh, what a rush, sniffing some more blow. Let the bitch bleed and I'm making a porno. I'ma keep it going a few times before I pass out. Wake up in the morning, realize I'm blacked out.